the all whatever we will be talking about all are open source. There is no any payment logic is involved in any of the software which we will be talking about in terms of automation. Okay, so these are the two things which we will be
Sir,
requiring at the very start.
sir,
Go
one
ahead.
thing, can you please zoom in because
Yeah, sure.
this is not
Yeah,
visible.
no problem. Yeah.
Yeah,
um,
thank you.
yeah, so I hope now it is visible to you all guys. So yeah, we will be focusing on all the softwares and everything which will be open source. There is no such any third party utilities or any plugins or anything which we will be having the aspect of payment part, guys. Okay, we will be kind of purely focusing on open source applications as well as software. Okay, so with respect to training, guys, we will be dividing into three sections. Okay, please understand that when I say three sections, it will be kind of our modules we will be dividing into three sections. Okay, so what all three sections are basically, the first section is inclusive of like a theoretical concept. It is like purely on manual testing. Okay, so when I say manual testing, guys, I assume some of you might have the expertise or let's say knowledge on the manual stuff, but still like we will have one or two high level sessions on the manual testing. With respect to the reason for that is, as we know, right, whenever we are kind of moving to automation, the prerequisite is you need to have the clear understanding on the manual stuff, right? So for that reason we will kind of brush up the manual testing concepts. Okay, when I say manual testing concepts, such as like what are different you can say waterfall model, agile model, what is spiral model, what is v model, what is verification, validation, what are equivalence partitioning, boundary value analysis. So we kind of like go through this all different testing techniques as well as type also. When I say testing techniques and types, such as like what are white box, what is black box, how we are kind of performing manually those types of testing, right? Functional testing, non-functional testing with respect to security as well as performance, right? So all this will be kind of covered at high level in the manual testing section, guys. So you can consider like around 3 to 4 sessions we will be kind of purely focusing on manual things, guys. Okay, second we will move to a very very important aspect like obviously introduction to Java. Okay, we will kind of focus on like core Java. Okay, okay, so these two things which is kind of obviously base for our you can say which will be like the next part or next module, that is the third section, right? So that will be the base for that. But yeah, in this what we will be covering is like from scratch actually, uh, how we are going to start with the programs part, what are the different concepts which will be required, like basic as well as core Java. Okay, whatever like OOPS concepts are required, that is object oriented programming language concept, with the real time examples for each one of them, because those are most you can say common concerns and common interview questions, as well as common you can say whenever we work on framework, guys, in Selenium. Those are the major things we need to know, right? So we will be kind of purely focusing on like basics of Java with from scratch, including like variables, declarations, how we need to write the for loop, while loop, do while loop. Then we'll move to like little bit advanced topic with respect to array list, linked list, hash map, hash table. Then we'll move to some collection framework. Then we'll move to iterators, Java iterators, java.utils logic. Then we'll move to some of the advanced topic with respect to object oriented programming, such as encapsulation, polymorphism, inheritance, interface, enumerations. All those concepts will be covered with respect to whatever real time programs as well. When I say real time programs, those programs will be not like which will be related with Selenium. Basically, those will be related with your concept or let's say level of thinking, how you can create the logic, and based on that execution, the result which we will be getting, you will have the idea like, yeah, what all things are being considered whenever we are kind of executing the program. So introduction to Java and core Java, this is something which will be considering like more time, guys. Okay, so ideally I usually say almost like to everyone that it will be kind of completed within 13 to 14 session. But yeah, if required we can obviously kind of have little bit more you can say into this part. But yeah, I would have the ideal time as 13 to 15. It may kind of reach to 18 session also. Okay, but yeah, we will be kind of covering from scratch till like whatever Java related topics. If obviously after that also, if you got any concerns, query, questions, you can, I mean, anytime you can like um, ask your queries as well as questions with respect to any topics in Java. Okay, and the third and the most important thing which we will be kind of focusing, guys, is we will be kind of merging core Java plus Selenium. Okay, so guys, here is what like I would like to kind of introduce myself. Here in Selenium I am almost having all exposure of 10 years now. Almost have worked with various domains, I would say. I am into QA almost like 13 years so far. With respect to QA, I have do expertise into Selenium with Java, then Selenium with you can say Python, and along with that I do have some expertise with respect to performance as well as security testing with Jmeter, and even with the kind of you can say Gatling, which is again a performance testing tool. Okay, so I have the exposure of almost like 10 years into Selenium. So in core Java and integrating with Selenium, guys, we will be purely focusing on all the aspects whatever is required, right, from the installation setup till the how we need to kind of build the framework from scratch. Okay, folder structure, how we need to relate all the classes, interface, whatever we will be declaring in those packages. So everything will be covered in the core Java plus Selenium section, guys. Okay, so overall, this section might take almost like 15 to 18 session. But yes, again, this is kind of idle time, guys. Okay, don't go with the numbers. If required, we can have like around 4 to 5 more sessions. That depends again on how much queries, doubts, uh, how much you kind of practice, come up with your any of the frame issues or topics, right? We will discuss those, and accordingly we can kind of have more sessions on that part. So in this three section, guys, we will be kind of purely focusing like we'll try to make sure that everything is related, guys. It's not like we because what we'll do is like we will obviously do real time programming activity. Okay, at the same time, if you guys are comfortable, you can obviously open your IntelliJ, or let's say Eclipse, or any of the editor, whichever you feel like you are comfortable, and at the same time also you guys can practice. Okay, obviously the recorded session will be available to you all, right? After every session we will be kind of having the link wherein you can go watch those recorded session anytime, any whenever you get stuck or something, right? Talking about the course, you can say curriculum with respect to Selenium syllabus, which we will be covering, guys. It is kind of high level. Okay, so it is consisting of introduction or overview of the automation, how Selenium, what are the advantage, what we use, how we will be using, what are the Java section which will be required, core Java, object oriented concept. Then we will be talking about very very important concept, which is like Selenium WebDriver with the latest version, guys. Okay, so latest in Selenium, it is above 4. So till now, last whenever I have used it is like 4.8. It might have updated with March release. Okay, then we will be talking about how we will be having the integration of Selenium WebDriver with TestNG for both the UI as well as API frameworks. Okay, so we will be purely focusing on TestNG. JUnit has got little less popularity. We are having two framework, guys. One is TestNG and second is JUnit. People still are using JUnit. That's not the case, but yeah, TestNG is quite little bit more popular comparatively. So that's the reason we will be kind of focusing more on TestNG. Um, then we will have the extend report log4j object oriented page object model, Maven integration with Selenium, how to create a Maven project. Then we will have the hybrid framework with POM. Then we will be talking about Selenium Grid, how to create hub node, how we can kind of run the test cases in all the browsers with all the different versions, whatever currently is supporting. CI/CD with respect to Git, GitHub, GitLab is there, Bitbucket is there, Azure is there. So we will be kind of focusing on that part. Even like we have the Jenkins for right now, let's say for the CI/CD integrations. Okay. Meanwhile, I'll take a pause for like couple of minutes. I would request I'll open forum for like you kind of ask your query, questions, whatever you have, guys. You can kind of unmute and speak up anything you want like to know more, guys. Yes, anyone?
Sir, will we be getting any daily assignments on daily basis for Java?
Yeah, once we start with Java part, we will be kind of, let's say, if we are concentrating on, let's say, one of the topic called as method overloading or overriding, we will be getting few program section to be completed till next section, right? So each topic we will have ample amount of example. You need to kind of practice at the same before coming to the next sessions. You will be getting that.
Okay.
Yes.
And sir, will we get mock interviews and resume preparation assistance?
You will get the real-time project setup, how it is done. Okay. How we have the frameworks till now, whatever are currently getting used with respect to the like in the organizations. Okay, like people are using keyword driven, data driven, or let's say page object model, how they are using it. With respect to mock interview, you will get some assistance, but I really have like doubt wherein they like we can conduct or not. That's the question. But yeah, real you will get the support for you can say real time framework, real time
Uh,
project, whichever are going in the
and sir,
organization.
for the resume preparation assistance?
Yeah, resume assistance you will get. Resume
Okay.
preparation with respect to automation, what all points we need to consider whenever you are kind of creating your CV or resume for automation skill set.
Thank you, sir.
Yes.
Hi Vikas, Anil here. So I'd like to understand one point here in your third section. You mentioned like core Java plus Selenium. You will help us to understand.
Yes.
So do you also help with respect to the advanced like collections and the linked list, the hash map which you mentioned, right? So
Yeah.
those will also be covered here as part of the Selenium usage along with core Java. I mean, these are bit like collection framework, right? So will you help us
Uh,
in using them in Selenium also?
right, correct. So whatever collection framework topics will be there, right, with respect to hash map, hash table, linked list, array list, we gonna use them in our real time framework as well. Okay, that is like in the third section which I mentioned, like along with Selenium, right? So that will be part of when we are kind of using the real time framework. Okay, it can be any framework, it can be for the API testing, let's say rest assured framework, correct? In that we might use the collection topics whatever we are talking about, right? It may be, let's say, page object model, right? In that also we might use the any like whatever core Java concepts are there, we will be using in the framework. How the real time project works, right? In the same way we'll have the real time project.
Okay. Another question, like with respect to the framework, the factory design, or I mean, the factory pattern or the singleton, like you will explain both kind of usage for us, like if it use singleton pattern, how it will be, and if you use the factory pattern in the page update, what was the difference, and will you help us in that way also, understanding of the different
Yeah, with respect
factory
to
patterns?
singleton as well as with respect to page object page factory, yes, we are gonna discuss those framework as well. And even like what are the advantage, what are the features, how we are creating it, how we are doing the project folder structure setup for both, like almost like 4 to 5 framework design, we will be talking about that.
Yeah, last question, because so with respect to the API testing, like you told that will you, I mean, you will help us with
Next stage.
the SNG utilization. And so, do you use the Postman or some other tool like Newman here for the API automation testing, or what was the platform
Yes.
that will help us? Yeah.
So ideally, when it comes to you can say API automation, we are having few frameworks already in place, right? When it comes to Selenium with Java, the only way is like you will have the BDD framework, okay, and the REST assured framework, okay. So these two framework we can kind of fully have the, you can say, understanding with respect to API testing with all the HTTP methods, okay. But yes, as you mentioned, Postman, Newman, Swagger, Soap, REST API, all these tools are like, those are kind of, I'll show you, I'll have a manual testing session for the API testing in which I'll cover the Postman part. Okay, when I say Postman, basically how we are kind of creating collection, how we are kind of doing the Postman chaining, how to write the JavaScript code in the test section, how we need to automate, how we can kind of run the collection independently with multiple sets of data from your Excel, right? That is kind of manual testing, like it will come under manual testing part only. But with respect to automation, we will focus on REST assured and BDD Cucumber with respect to feature file, scenarios file for the API part, API testing.
Okay, thanks, Vikas.
Yeah. And guys, one more thing I would like to mention over here again, it's again your choice which editor you are kind of more comfortable, because it again most of the time people are kind of confused like which editor we should use, right? So it's again depends on what let's say if we are kind of focusing purely Selenium with Java, the only editor which is kind of popular and which is getting used most often is like the Eclipse. Other than that, we have other plugins, other editor as well, which are like most of people are comfortable with. That are like those editor are, let's say, IntelliJ, PyCharm, VS Code. So it's again our choice, right? So we can, but yeah, this the whole session we will be using only yeah, Eclipse. Okay, so we will be kind of purely focusing on Eclipse. But yes, if you guys got any query, doubt, questions with respect to other editor also, you can kind of come up and show your screen and we will kind of discuss on that as well. Okay. So I hope everyone has got like a clear understanding with respect to the curriculum content, what all things will be covered. So just to give you heads up, we will be kind of focusing on one quick activity with respect to what we can say manual testing, right, guys? So we will just do a quick activity. We'll go to one of the website, guys. Okay. So at high level, can anybody, I mean, explain me the total number of test cases uh, which can we have, which can be like we can have on this particular page. I'm talking only on this page. I'm not navigating to any other page, guys. So I just wanted to know, so what are the total number of test cases and what all things you consider, let's say, are the important one on this particular web page? Yes, anyone? Yes, go ahead, please.
Check all the links are working on that page.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Next, anyone?
Check whether user able to
Logo,
select his
logo of
destination
the
on
page,
the flight.
logo of the. We need to check the logo of the page, of the.
Check the logo. Perfect. Wherever it is
Uh,
applicable.
yeah, and we have the search. Um, we have the checkbox, multiple checkbox, so we can check that these checkbox are we are able to check or not. So we can create one common test case for all the checkbox which are present on the screen.
Okay.
And we have footer and header also. So we can create one common test case for header and one for footer.
Header and footer. Okay.
Travelers, we need to check the travelers section. How many
Traveler.
adults are? Yeah.
Yes. Correct.
Uh, yeah.
Adult we have like till 16 plus, like age is 16 plus. Total how many it is supporting? Correct.
Yeah.
Children's how many is supporting? Correct.
Yeah.
The
Okay.
depart date and return date cannot be past dated.
Return date. So here if I can select 27, so here I cannot select prior to that, that is 26. Correct. So in
Yes,
return date I
past
cannot
date should
select.
not be a, yeah, yeah.
So yeah, perfect.
From and
User
So
should be
to
able to log into the portal.
yeah, what was that?
User shall
from
be able to
section.
log into the portal.
Portal. Okay. Traveler
Sorry, go
and
ahead.
okay. So my uh, concern over here is like, guys, if you can give me rough count for this the whole screen right now, which is visible to you on my this thing, right? So rough count for the test case would be how much? Can anybody tell me ballpark? Like just an estimate. That's okay. If it is wrong, then also it is fine. Roughly, what do you think? How many test case we can kind of create using only flight section? Don't go with hotel and car hire. Okay, just go with flight and this section. That's it. I'm not talking about the below section also. So from this section, how many test case you can think and you can create at high level? Can anyone tell me rough count, guys?
Because I assume 100 plus cases.
Okay, 100 plus. Uh, so the reason for this is, guys, whenever we are kind of working on manual testing, right, we don't have the clear understanding on like how many, what we can say, that depends usually on as and when we keep on testing, we come up with new use case and we kind of update the test case, right? So for that reason, you kind of have the clear understanding on the requirement part, right? So what we used to do is like, why we are saying that over here, I already mentioned that we need to have the clear understanding on manual testing part, right? Only then you will jump to automation section. Okay, so when you are creating the automation test cases also for this particular application, let's say you're selecting any of the destination and clicking on search, right? So this scenario involved lot of permutation and combination, guys. Okay, when I say lot of permutation and combination, because you it is not recommended that you select each and every uh, I would say each and every location from this, and each and every location, let's say select over here, right? You will kind of roughly take few let's say source, you can say source city, and you will say few destination city, and based on those randomization you will make sure that you will take a, or you will make a statement saying that yeah, the current functionality what is implemented on this website is working correct, right? So that's the reason, please understand guys, whenever we are working we will be kind of working on automation, the prerequisite would be kind of have the clear understanding on the manual part, guys. Okay, second thing, this is kind of having the UI UX test cases along with functional test cases, guys. Okay, so what we have discussed is completely like UI UX and functional test cases, guys. Okay, try to understand this. So we spoke only for functional test cases so far. Okay, there are various other types of testing which we are kind of focusing whenever we kind of work in real time project. Okay, so usually what happens is like, when you are kind of working on any of the test URL, okay, you can consider this, let's say, as a test URL. You have only done one level of testing, that is UI UX. Okay, that is functional test cases. After that, there will be a dedicated team who is kind of focusing on performance testing. Okay, so in performance testing what happens, it comes under like non-functional testing. It is usually called as non-functional testing. And in performance testing we are having several tools such as Jmeter, we are having Gatling, we are having Neoload, we are having Load Runner. Okay, so this we are having other tools as well right now, but yeah, in case of open source only, like these are the one like Jmeter and Gatling, which will kind of support for the performance testing. Okay, but before that, can anybody tell me what is the purpose of performance testing, guys? Anyone? You can unmute and speak up.
Like when application, sometime application take too much time to load, so for that case we need to, do the performance test to check, like if somebody, we have sale going on, so at that moment we multiple user logged in into the will be logged into the application, so at that moment we need to check how the application is behaving on that moment.
Correct. So can you, like you mentioned one example, like particular sale is going on, right? You mentioned that one, right?
Yes.
Wherein this usually arises whenever there is, let's say, Black Friday sale, or in
Any
India,
cell, like,
uh, open sales at 12 a.m., let's say 12 p.m., something like odd timing, guys. Okay.
uh,
Also, the major, like the common example you guys might be aware, right? In the railway reservation, we have the 10 a.m. and 11 a.m., right, for the Tatkal booking. Uh, so those aspect we need to handle, and for that reason, we are kind of purely focusing on PT, that is performance testing, guys. In performance testing, usually we are focusing on both the part, guys, UI as well as the API. Okay. So when I say UI, guys, you can see right now here we have this UI, we have the domain URL and everything. Okay. Second section which I wanted to mention over here is like, we have focused on this functional test cases. We will be focusing on the API testing also, guys. Okay, now, can anybody tell me at high level how we usually do the API testing? I like obviously you guys have mentioned that we have used Postman, but just at high level, what all things you consider whenever you are kind of focusing on API testing? Yes, anyone?
My understanding is when we send some request, we
Mm-hmm.
should expect the response. Like in this example, like we are sending a request URL, like domain URL, we will expect a response from server that should load the page successfully. So happy flow like 200 is the code we are expecting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and the basic things in the API are we need the endpoint, the URL, the endpoint, the what is the header to be sent, the request body or the payload, and what is the response payload and the type, the content type, whether it's a JSON or XML, if it's a REST
Let's say if
or
that detail is not provided to you, okay, from let's say
Mhm,
developer, you need to
mhm.
identify from this particular page what all activity you can do just to kind of let's say you,
Maybe we can do install a Firebug in Firefox,
Mhm.
and we can trace the request response when we click on any specific links and
when we click on let's say search button, right? So
yeah.
in real time, guys, what happens is whatever you see in the front end, right? We are having a lot of complexity at the back end as well. Okay, so I mentioned like Selenium is kind of purely responsible for both the part, guys. Okay, when I say Selenium, it will kind of support for both, that is front end as well as back end testing. Okay, so front end, you are kind of like now you are clear that front end when I say is purely like the UI UX as well as the current functionality, whatever is available and whatever we can kind of perform, right? Then we have something called as backend. Okay, so in backend, what happens is like we are having a lot of request response logic with respect to let's say JSON, GraphQL, XML, then CSS, images, JS, jQuery. All this happens in the backend. Okay, so in Selenium, we will be kind of purely focusing on API part. Okay, but yeah, front end we will be kind of focusing on UI UX plus functionality. Okay, so front end we are having a lot of framework which obviously I mentioned verbally, but yes, at high level we have a lot of framework when it comes to verifying the front end pages. Okay, for back end, we I already mentioned we are having the framework called as rest assured. So obviously someone mentioned, right, we are having various status codes, right, with respect to positive status code, negative status code. So when I say that you are kind of let's say doing the functionality functional testing, or let's say the team is completely involved in backend testing, guys. So backend testing will have the details with respect to API. They will not have the you can say they will not be kind of performing the UI UX part, guys. Okay, so backend will be kind of purely focusing on the structure that I'll be showing you right now. Okay, since obviously somebody mentioned about something called as we have something called as client server. Okay, so that is nothing but a basic architecture, guys. Client server architecture. Okay, so what is basically this architecture talking about? We have one, like you can say the request. Okay, which is nothing but the request will be sent from obviously the client. Okay, so client will send the request. Okay, now it will go to server, guys. It will go to server. Okay, it will go to server. Now, can anybody tell me, when we are doing this action from front end, right? If you let's say perform the manual test cases also, when you click on search, guys, can anyone tell me what is the real time or what is the real action happens when we actually click on search from let's say Selenium automation, let's say from manual testing? What exactly happens in the backend? Can anybody tell me that? Yes.
Vikash, as
So
per my understanding, with the selected options in the field, and when we click on search, it will hit a function with capturing all the details with respect to the selection of our attributes, and then that function will hit the database, and it will return the results, and then it will show in the front end. It's a general, I mean,
Yeah,
class architecture I'm talking about. Yeah,
right.
that's my understanding.
Yeah, correct. Correct. So basically, guys, whenever we are kind of communicating with the browser obviously has the understanding that we are kind of passing this value in the form of JSON. Okay, this value will be passed in the form of JSON. That is absolutely correct. Okay, like from to depart, all this value will be passed in the form of JSON to a particular request. This request or this detail will be sent to a server, guys. Okay, now server obviously will have the detail in the form of JSON. It will kind of convert into a machine language, that the language will be in the form of 10, which would be understood by the server will process that request. It will kind of check the uh, database, what mentioned correctly, right? It will check for the DB entry, whether we have the details for this particular permutation or combination, whatever has been received. After that, the server will receive the detail. Okay, server will receive the detail again in the form of 1010. Okay, so server in turn is kind of communicating with the DB. It will return the it will kind of get the detail in the form of 1010, and here the server has the responsibility of again getting, like, converting in the form of JSON. Okay, it can be GraphQL, it can be JSON, it can be XML, it can be HTML, guys, any of the language. And after that we will be kind of getting the result on the UI in the plain like the language which is obviously understood by the respective customer. So in API testing, guys, we will be kind of focusing on all the HTTP methods. Okay, so the one which are obviously the popular, such as like get, post, put, patch, delete. So this method we will be kind of focusing on the API automation, guys. Okay, we will be kind of purely focusing along with rest assured. Okay, so obviously positive as well as negative testing. When I say negative testing, basically like the 5xx error and the 4xx error. Okay, so what are those, I'll explain once I will go into the rest assured framework, guys. Okay, I mean, not rest assured, even in the postman section we will be kind of discussing that part. So till now, anybody has any query, any doubt, any questions so far, guys? Yes, anyone wants to ask anything with respect to, let's say, syllabus part, or let's say in general discussion, if you want to have, let's say, for the Java part, for the Selenium part.
Because one question from
Go ahead, please.
me. I have joined late to the call, so would like to understand whether these sessions will be on same timings, like 9
Yeah,
p.m.
9,
IST or
9 IST
uh,
every
9 p.m.
uh,
IST. Okay.
9 p.m. IST. And as I mentioned, all the session will be getting recorded. Okay, and
Yeah.
you will get the link for each and every sessions which is getting recorded after, like, once it is completed, right? I think it will be delivered to you by next day. Okay, like not same day,
Okay.
mostly
Yeah.
within uh, some duration.
Okay.
And with respect, yeah, go ahead, please.
Sorry. So, and the question I would like to ask is, you said API testing that you'll cover, right? So, whether it will be part of in the first module which you mentioned, or it is a separate bonus kind of thing, will help
Yeah,
us.
so it will be part of in manual testing. We will be kind of after 4 or 5 session, I'll be covering one topic with respect to postman. Okay, so in that theoretical part will be there. Okay, how we will be performing API testing, how manual tester or let's say any QA kind of perform the API testing with the details whatever is provided to them, along with Swagger, what are REST API, how Swagger works, how Newman works, how Postman works, right? And once we that will be like 1 or 1.5 session. After that we will again jump into Java part. Okay, then at the later stage, when we are kind of moving to Selenium frameworks, over there we will be again coming to API testing, API automation with rest assured framework.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Okay, so just to give you quick heads up, guys, I am kind of having few little bit theoretical. I know that, but still I want to like let's say have some theoretical part to be covered today. So just at high level, I am kind of going through this. I know some of you might be aware already, but just at high level, these are the topics with respect to manual testing, guys. Okay, so we will be covering this stuff for the manual testing module, guys. Okay, so just to give you a clear understanding, we will be talking about this like hardly for 2 or 3 session. Okay, if anybody has got any query with respect to manual testing, they can come up with your queries, guys. Okay, you can ask me anytime but because yeah, as you know, right, the only reason I'm going through this manual testing concept is for the prerequisite part. Okay, like because we have some prerequisite to be covered, so that's the reason we need to have clear understanding on what is manual testing, what are different let's say definition, what are different concept involved in it. Okay, so just to go through, guys, we have what is software like at high level, just to get have clear understanding. It's nothing but a computer programs that help us to perform a task. We are having different kind of software such as system programming and application. Okay, so uh, purely we as a QA, senior QA, or any automation engineer, most often they work on the application software, guys. Okay, so with respect to application software, we are having several tools, guys. Okay, right now we are talking about only single tools, guys. Okay, that is Selenium with Java. Okay, but in real time, when it comes to QA fraternity, guys, we are having a lot of other tools as well, which is kind of having the you can say efficiency, or let's say you can perform the all type of testing. Okay, but why we are kind of focusing on Selenium with Java? Can anybody tell me any reason? What is a major advantage of Selenium with Java? Anyone? Yes.
Selenium is an open source tool, so that's the reason.
Okay, let me discuss this. Very, very important. Yes. What is the first point you mentioned? Open source,
It's
right?
open
Okay.
source, yeah. And it supports multiple languages,
Support multiple languages. Okay.
can be like executed on multiple platforms, whether any operating system, you can say.
Independent.
Independent, correct.
Okay. Anyone else?
Multiple browsers.
Yes. Multiple browsers. Perfect. Multiple
Popular
browsers.
in the market. Yeah.
Okay. Uh, okay. So popular in market, I would say support is very good. Okay. When I say support is very good, guys, can anybody elaborate little bit on this? Support is very good. Anyone?
Community support. We
Community.
have this. Yeah.
So guys, if you I mean, if you are aware about few of the tools which are kind of popular in the market, let's say Catalan is there. Okay, where we have Karate framework is there, right? All these are the tools which are kind of wrapper, or they are kind of based on Selenium only, guys. Okay, so they are using Selenium as a kind of language, and over that they are kind of improvising their you can say tool, guys. Okay, but yes, at the base level you will see that everywhere Selenium is the one which is getting used. Okay. uh, Next, anyone? one thing I would like to mention, guys, the understanding for this will not require, you can say, because some obviously a lot of people has the this thing fear saying that, hey, I am not good at coding part, why should I learn Selenium, right? That is a major concern I see. People are like, whenever we as a manual tester, we see a code that understanding is having little bit issues with that, right? But what I want to convey over here is, guys, please understand, when you kind of have the linking between the file when we are working with real-time framework, right? At that time, the understanding of the code will be very very easy in terms of how the test case is written, how those are linked to the you can say scripting with the Java language which we are writing. So the understanding of the code will be very very easy when you know what are the, like, which test case you are automating. Okay, but obviously for that you should have the clear understanding on the let's say on the test case which you have manually executed, right? After that only you will have the good, you can say, you will not have any, you can say, issue with the code. Whenever you see a code, you will kind of you can modify, you can understand, you can kind of update that particular code, right? So the understanding for the frameworks whatever is available right now with Selenium is quite easy uh, compared to what we have, right? Because most people have the fear that whatever Java developer does, we need to do the same. No, that's not the case, guys. In Selenium with Java, we already have predefined folder structure, we already have all the, you can say, utilities with us. The only thing is you need to kind of make sure those folder, those packages, those classes are communicating correctly. Okay, that's the only thing which we need to make sure it is happening in the our framework. Okay, and obviously after that you can kind of create any test cases which you think. Okay, that's the major difference, so don't get confused like with the code part. Yes, at the code level you need to have the Java knowledge, that's for sure, but still you don't need to have the knowledge such as what is Spring framework, what are what we usually see like people with Java, right? You don't need to have that kind of expertise into Java part. Yes, whatever is required for all the framework section we will obviously cover in this core Java topic, guys.
Also, do we also cover this CSS, XPath, and all,
Yeah, that will
TestNG,
be
and
part
all
of,
that,
that will be part
and
of
as
this.
part
Yes.
of Selenium automation? Okay, okay. And also the
Jupyter,
Maven integration,
even
Maven
integrate,
integration, Jenkins,
even JUnit, Jenkins,
configurable. Okay,
GitHub, App, everything will be.
all the CI/CD integration. And,
Yes,
okay,
how we are kind of creating the Jenkins file, how we
okay,
are
okay,
creating, let's say, freestyle project in Jenkins, how we are kind of integrating with the source code, that is Git,
okay.
and how we are running the pipeline.
Oh,
At the end, we will be
how we are
generating
running
the,
Java.
yes,
Okay,
Cucumber report, or let's say Selenium report at the end,
oh,
extend, LU, all those will be covered.
okay. And how to do all the data-driven testing.
Yeah, we will be talking about Apache Poi. Uh,
Okay, okay,
yes.
okay, okay, okay. Thanks.
Okay, so I think I'll take more maximum 5 minutes, guys. Okay. After that, we will be kind of focusing on, let me kind of open, yeah. So just I'll take quickly 4 to 5 more minutes. Yes, so yes, this is manual testing. What is software testing? What is the process, what we are doing? So guys, it is process of identifying and obviously detecting the issues, in defect, bugs, uh, What all things we covered in quality, guys? Quality, we obviously make sure that the bug free, it is delivered on time, it is within the budget. This is what we usually, I mean, client is expecting from us as a QA. Okay. What is the difference between product and project? So guys, this, I hope you all are using various applications such as, let's say, Upstock, Zoom, Zerodha, Sharekhan. All these are product, guys. Those are called as product based organization. But when it comes to project, it is basically for some specific customer. Okay, so that will come under project. So usually people has the comparison saying that I am working in project based organization, product based organization. So the only thing is, like, we are having a dedicated product, so that comes under product based company. Okay, if you are having multiple projects in the organization, obviously that will be considered as project based organization. Okay. Then we, why do we need the testing, guys? The major reason is we need to make sure that the bugs, the software is bug free, system, customer requirement, whatever is mentioned, it is meeting up. What are the end user expectation, whatever is there, right? Those are meeting up. The identifying issue is obviously, like, fixing the bug at later stage, it's obviously time consuming and even more expensive. Okay, so that's the major reason we focus on, uh, obviously, finding the issues, guys. What is the difference between error, bug, and failure? For us as a QA, we obviously say that, yeah, for us, everything will be kind of reported as an issue. But just at high level, you need to kind of have the, you can say, classification, or let's say high level understanding. There is slight difference between error as well as defect and the failure part. Okay, whenever we have the deviation from the requirement, guys, that will be considered as the defect. Okay, and error is nothing but, like, you have, let's say, miss some semicolon, you have missed some bracket in function, right? Those will be considered as the error. Okay, and whenever we deviation identified by the end user, okay, when the system is in test, right, that is called as the failure. Okay. Last, why the software has bugs normally? Because of obvious reason. Let's say the communication between all the respective developer who are, let's say, working on single module or single product, there is no communication, I would say. They are unable to understand the complexity of the software. There are some programming errors. We have the requirement getting changed every, let's say, now and then, right? It happens most often. And the last one is lack of skill tester. As a QA, you are not able to identify all the flow. Let's say you have identified only 50 flow, but the as a QA you need to kind of identify, let's say, 100 flow, right? You have missed those flows, right? Due to which the bugs will be there in the production system, or in any, let's say, in the new stage environment, or whichever environment we are working on. Okay. Over here, I would like to request everyone, we will kind of, let's say, stop here. And I would request everyone, kind of, you can put your name, or let's say, name and mobile number in the chat window if possible, guys. So after which you can reach out to Kumar sir regarding the next steps. Okay, like, next step as in, for the further session, guys. But I'll take a stop here. Anybody has any query, any questions, anything you want to highlight, ask? Yes.
Sir, along with the class recording, we'll be getting the class notes.
Yes, class notes, over the Google Drive you will get, with the link. Every Whenever you get time, you can refer those class notes,
Okay.
whatever we are kind of, let's say, during our session, whatever we are practicing. The notepad file, or let's say Word doc file, will be attached to the respective day wise session.
Okay.
Yes. Anyone has any query, any doubt, anything you want to highlight, ask? One request to everyone, if possible, if it will be great if you can put your let's say name and your mobile number in the chat window, right? So that I can share the documentation part with respect to whatever we will be covering in this session, guys, right? In the chat window, if you can. You can, I mean, you can just share over, I mean, only to organizer, that is fine, guys.